engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the Minot State Professional Communications Department proudly brings to you the Striha Sports Podcast with your host, Parker Striha. Hello, and welcome back to the Striha Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Parker Striha, and on today's episode, I'm going to be talking through my 2023-2024 NFL record predictions for the AFC. I'm by no means a professional, but I do love talking about sports, so thank you for joining me. Disclaimer, like I had in the last episode, these are extremely hard to do. Injuries will happen, players will be traded, players will be released, coaches will be fired, and like I said in the last episode, if teams in the same division or conference have the same record, but one is ranked higher than the other in standings, it's simply how the website I used placed them. So without further ado, we're just going to jump right into the AFC North with the Cincinnati Bengals, who finished 12-4 last season, winning the division. Obviously, they didn't miss a game. They started the game, but they didn't finish it with the Bills and that was the game that Damar Hamlin, that whole scary situation. But I have them finishing 12-5 this year, winning the division again. I think Cincinnati is a really, really good team. I say really, really a lot, I've noticed over the last couple episodes. But I think Cincinnati's good. I think they're going to have some question marks, obviously. Offensive line, still a little shaky. Safety, I have no idea who it's going to be. Daxton Hill and who? They just signed Logan Wilson to an extension. I think the team is really good. I think they're one of the most talented teams and one of the best offenses in the entire league. But yeah, 12-5, winning their division. Moving on, we have the Baltimore Ravens, who finished 10-7 last year, which was second in the division. I have them going 11-6 this year, which is also second in the division. I'm mostly betting on a healthy Lamar all season, and I'm betting on this passing offense being better than it's been in Lamar's entire career in Baltimore. Obviously, they brought in Todd Monken from the University of Georgia, so they're going to be throwing the ball a lot. And Lamar has some good weapons to throw to. Zay Flowers is going to be a freak in my opinion. Odell Beckham Jr., Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, and then you have guys like Isaiah Likely, J.K. Dobbins. This team is going to be really good. I have some questions about the defense, which I think could be a little shaky, but I think will still end up being probably a top half, or which will end up ranking in the top half of the league at the end. Next, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers, who finished 9-8 last season, which was third in the division. And unfortunately for Mike Tomlin's winning season record, I don't know how that really should be worded. He hasn't had a losing season in a very long time, if ever, in Pittsburgh, but I have them having that this year. I have them finishing 8-9. I think the roster is talented, but I just don't know if the team's good enough to hang with a lot of the top teams in the AFC or even the NFC. I have them finishing 8-9, fourth in the division. But with the Cleveland Browns, who finished 7-10 last year, which was fourth in the division, I also have them finishing 8-9. So, you could flip those around depending on how games go this season. I'm really high on the Browns. I think they could definitely win more than 8 just because I'm pretty sure they signed Dalvin Tomlinson. They signed a guy whose name I cannot pronounce, Ogbania Okoronkwo or something. Oh, I may have actually really, really done a good job right there. And obviously they they traded for Elijah Moore. They traded for Zadarius Smith. I think this team is going to be very good. Obviously, a lot of it's going to come down to how good is Deshaun Watson going to be, but I have really high hopes for this Browns team. Moving on to the AFC South, I have the Indianapolis Colts, who finished 4-12-1 last year, which was third in the division. I have them finishing 6-11, which is third in the division again. I'm high on Anthony Richardson. I think he has a lot of potential to be good, but I don't know what is going on with this whole Jonathan Taylor thing. I think Jim Irsay, there are some bad words that could be said about him. How do I want to put it more appropriately? I think he's being an a-hole, which I feel really, really stupid and childish saying that, but I think he's just being an idiot about this whole situation. You get rid of Jonathan Taylor, what do you have for that run game other than Anthony Richardson? And other than that, I don't know if I really trust a lot of that team, but I think a lot of this is going to ride on how good Anthony Richardson is. But I think they're going to let him start the whole year. I think they're going to see what they have in him and just give him reps to make him a lot better. But moving on to the Houston Texans, who finished 3-13-1 last year, which was 4th in the division. Luckily, they're getting rid of that tie, but it's because it's going in the loss column, and I have them finishing 3-14, 4th in the division. I have high hopes for some of their players like C.J. Stroud, obviously Will Anderson on the defensive side, Derek Stingley, but I don't think this team is very talented, like, at all in a majority of their positions. And I think this is going to be kind of a feeling it out year for DeMeco Ryans. I don't think anyone's expecting him to go to that team and make them a 10-win team right away. But I think this will be a feel it out, see what you have in some of these young guys, and you could be not necessarily a contending team, but you could be a borderline playoff team in a year or two. Next, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who finished 9-8 last year, which won the division. I have them finishing 10-7, but similar to some of these other teams, I think they could win a lot more games than what I'm projecting them to win. I'm really high on the Jaguars. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be I'm not shy in saying I think he'll be an MVP candidate. I think he will, at the end of the year, be a top 2 or 3 guy for that award. And I think a lot of that's going to be due to bringing in Calvin Ridley, who has been looking unreal in some of the videos I've seen of him this offseason. But I mean, I'm super high on Calvin Ridley. I think this offense is going to be good. The defense has some question marks. I don't know how good they're going to be, but I think they'll pull it together. And I think in this division, which is a little shaky right now, I think Jacksonville is going to win. Then we have the Tennessee Titans, who finished 7-10 last year, which was 2nd in the division. I have them finishing 9-8, also 2nd in the division. They signed DeAndre Hopkins, which I like, but at the same time, I don't know what this offense is really going to look like, because you obviously are still going to be wanting to run the ball a lot with Derrick Henry. You want to get the ball to Treylon Burks also. And then with Ryan Tannehill being 36, or he's really old for not for a quarterback, but he's getting up there in age, and I think we could potentially see some Will Levis this year, which I'm looking forward to. But yeah, 9-8, 2nd in the division. Moving on to the AFC West, I have the Kansas City Chiefs, who finished 14-3 last season, which was 1st in the division. I have them finishing 13-4, also winning the division. This team is unreal. They are probably, alongside of Philly, the most talented team in the entire league. And obviously they have Patrick Mahomes, which gives them an added advantage that no other team in the league can even come close to having. And they have they have Travis Kelce, who is just a step above every tight end in the league, in my opinion. I think they're still going to be a really good team. I don't know what to expect for that wide receiver position, but I think with Patrick Mahomes, you'll just figure it out. Next, I have the Las Vegas Raiders, who finished 6-11 and were 3rd in the division last year. I have them finishing 4-13 and 4th in the division. I don't think this team is very good. There's some bright spots, obviously Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, Josh Jacobs, but I don't like their quarterback position. I don't like their secondary. I don't like their linebackers. I like Michael Mayer, but he's a rookie tight end, and I don't know how much he's really going to impact on the team this year. But yeah, I think they're going to be bad. I think they're going to be 4-13. I think they're going to lose the division. There's really no other way around it. I could see Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs both being traded this year also. Moving on to the Denver Broncos, who finished 5-12 last year, which was 4th in the division. I have them going 6-11 this year, 3rd in the division. Sean Payton got brought in as the new head coach, but I think Russell Wilson is a really bad quarterback. I don't know how much Sean Payton's going to really fix that, and I don't know what the ceiling is for this team. I don't really like certain parts of their roster, but I know they have some bright spots. Javonte Williams, obviously, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton, Pat Surtain is one of the best corners in the league. Yeah, I just don't think they have the juice to hang with some of these other teams. And lastly, in the division, I have the Los Angeles Chargers, who finished 10-7 last season, which was 2nd in the division. I am really high on the Chargers because I'm also really high on Justin Herbert, and I have them going 12-5 this year and finishing second in the division again. Like I said, I'm really high on Justin Herbert. I think when they added Quentin Johnson, I don't know which one it actually is, I think this offense could be extremely good. I don't know what to expect from the tight end position. I don't know what to expect from their defense, but I think this team has potential to even, it's unlikely, but I think they have the potential and the talent in certain positions to go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs for the first place team in this division. And lastly, we have the AFC East. Starting with the New York Jets, they went 7-10 last season, which was fourth in the division, and I have them finishing 12-5 this season, which is first in the division. Obviously, a lot of that is banking on Aaron Rodgers being a good quarterback this year. I mean, he's a great quarterback, obviously, but a lot of it comes down to chemistry, and is he still an elite quarterback, which I do think he is. I mean, they finished 7-10 last year with Zach Wilson, Mike White, and Joe Flacco, and now you're getting a guy who is going to be a first-ballot Hall of Famer, 4-time MVP, one of the most talented quarterbacks in NFL history, and I think you pair him with Garrett Wilson, you pair him with Corey Davis, Breece Hall, and arguably a top 5 to 10 defense in the league. I think the Jets are going to be extremely good this year. Next, I have the Miami Dolphins, who finished 9-8 last year, which was second in the division. I have them going 11-6 this year, which is second in the division, and I'll talk about it briefly. But I also want to say I have the Buffalo Bills going 11-6 this year, which is third in the division. Like I said earlier, you can flip those around and it could go either way. I think the Dolphins are a really talented team, but I don't know what the future holds for Tua. I don't know, because if he gets another concussion, it could end his football career, and it could seriously hinder his life and well-being in the future, which obviously would not be good. But you take Tua out, I don't really like the Dolphins that much. I don't know who you're going to have throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, but the team has potential. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey just got hurt too, so he'll be out for at least a couple months, which sucks because they just traded for him, but they didn't really give up a whole lot to get him anyways. But then, like I said, I have the Bills also going 11-6. They finished 13-3 last year, which won the division, but I don't know how I feel about this team. Obviously, Josh Allen's really good, but I don't like their running game. I don't like their running back group. I think their passing game could be a little sketchy just because I don't know what you're getting from the wide receiver position outside of Stephon Diggs. Tight end could be really good, but then you look, the defense is old and regressing. You could still get a good season or two out of some of these guys, but I think your window is closing quicker than you'd like it to be. And then lastly, I have the New England Patriots, who finished 8-9 last year, which was third in the division. I have them going 8-9 again, finishing fourth in the division. I think they're going to be a better team than people expect, but I also still don't think this team is very good. I'm not super high on them, but I mean, Bill Belichick, it's hard to count out a Bill Belichick team. So going into the playoff standings, I have the Kansas City Chiefs at the 1 seed, the Jets at the 2 seed, Bengals at the 3, Jaguars at the 4, Chargers at the 5, Ravens at the 6, the Bills at the 7. And then the rest of the conference, the Dolphins at 8, Titans at 9, Patriots 10, Browns 11, Steelers 12, Colts 13, Broncos 14, Raiders 15, and Texans 16. So I'm kind of going through that. And now into the playoffs like I did for the NFC, the wild card round. I think these games could all go either way. But I think the Chargers are going to beat the Jaguars in a revenge game from last year. I think Herbert's going to be motivated to win that game. And I think it's going to be, I think if it happens, it will be a very fun game to watch, especially with that storyline from last season. I have the Bengals beating the Ravens. Like I said, another game that could go either way. I think both teams are really talented, but Joe Burrow and the Bengals just have the playoff experience that the Ravens don't, which I think kind of gives them an extra leg up in this game. And then I have the Jets beating the Bills. I'm really high on both teams, but I think the Jets are just going to be an overall better and more talented team this year, which I think could give the Bills some problems. Then in the divisional round, I have the Jets beating the Bengals and the Chiefs beating the Chargers. 2 more games, like similar to the wildcard round, that could go either way. I'm not saying they'd be blowouts or even I'm not really going to say score or anything, but I think they could both be games that go either way. You could have the Bengals beat the Jets, Chargers beat the Chiefs. One may be more likely than the other, but yeah, Jets winning, Chiefs winning. So it is Jets, Chiefs in the conference championship. And I have the Chiefs winning, but I think you could easily have the Jets just because I think certain parts of their team are just more talented. I trust their running game a lot more. But, I mean, I also trust their receiving options more outside of Travis Kelce, obviously, for the Chiefs. And I think the Jets just have a better defense. And I think this series could go either way, or the game could go either way. This isn't the NBA. So then, in the Super Bowl, I have, from the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles. And for the AFC, for a rematch from last year's Super Bowl, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. So it'll be Chiefs-Eagles for the second year in a row in the Super Bowl, the Kelce Bowl 2.0. And I think the Eagles take it. I think last year had some things not went against them, some like the turf, obviously there's stuff like that, but I think the Eagles are going to come back hungry, and I think they're going to want to, I mean, obviously they're going to want to win the game, but I think if Jalen Hurts takes the step up that myself and a lot of other people in the sports industry think he will, I think the Eagles could win this game. It won't be a blowout. I think it'll be similar to last year where it's a close game, but I think the Eagles win. I like their team a little bit more than I like the Chiefs. So yeah, I have the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, and that will conclude my record predictions for the NFC and the AFC. And that is all I have for you guys today. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. Thank you for tuning in, and I will catch you all next time. Peace.